Welcome to our screencast entitled Research Framework of your scientific project or your research capstone. This PowerPoint is prepared by yours truly, Ms. Kiana Alzina Video Cales. Now, what is framework? It is defined as a set of ideas that provide or to support to something. Essentially, any concept or theory requires a strong framework to establish its general feasibility. A research needs um, a certain framework or a certain backbone to support the claims, to support the ideas that you're going to present on your work. There are two kinds of framework in a certain research. Number one is conceptual framework, or also known as research paradigm. So when you hear a word research paradigm, it is also connected to conceptual framework. Another one is theoretical framework, wherein you are going to search for a theory that will really support or that will really claim or that will really support your claims of your study. Essentially, any concept or theory, it really requires a framework to a certain research to become um a good one or to become it real in a certain concept. Another, as I've said a while ago, that we have two kinds of research framework. Number one is theoretical, and then number two is conceptual framework. When we say theoretical framework, it is formulated from existing theories and serve as the foundation of the study. Those those theories that have found thousand years ago, BC or before era, founded by Albert Einstein, founded by different scientists, okay, can be considered as a theoretical framework for your study. Why and how? These theories provide you guys a clear representation that no matter what happens, kahit ilang daan panahon na yung lumipas, still, that knowledge is related. That knowledge is connected to the theory they have formulated thousand years ago. And hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na, ma'am, kasi itong theory na to related na talaga siya on that part. Hindi natin pwedeng ganun lang. We should write it appropriately, coherently on your paper. How is it related? And paano sila nagkaparehas on your part? So of course, in the first sentence, you are going to provide the title of the theory, if there is any. Okay? The title of the theory, what does it mean? Who have founded that one? When it is founded or it was founded. And then on the second paragraph, you should discuss there paano sila paano sila connected with one another. How this theory will support or will serve as the backbone of your research or your scientific paper. The present study can adapt the original model used by the cited theories. You, as the present study or the present researchers, you can adapt. Okay, really. Kung ano man ang nakita nyo sa internet, for example, theory about solar panel, theory about this one, okay, theory about your cluster, you can cite that one. However, a researcher can modify the variables of the original framework to better suit to the study. So gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, we cannot say that this one is really related unless we should modify the variables. We should write it on your paper. Another one is conceptual framework. It is derived from a combination of theories or parts of the theory. This framework guides the researcher in synthesizing the different theories used in formulating um, This framework guides the researcher in synthesizing the different theories used in formulating a new one. Usually, kapag ang yung research design or ang inyong project ay nangangailangan ng mga process, nangangailangan ng mga intervention or paggawa ng something that related for your output, ang ginagamit na conceptual framework is IPO. IPO, what does it mean? Okay? So let me share this one. For example, this is your paper, your blank paper or the part of your conceptual framework. You're going to draw square or any visual representation that talks about flow, just something like this one. Okay. This one is input, process, and then output. I, IPO. When we say input, these are your raw materials. Are your objectives. This is your your plan. Okay, the general plan of your research, you're going to write this one on your input. Okay, because this is the, kumbaga, sila yung pinaka-eksperimentohan ninyo. Ito yung pinaka-problem of your paper, problem of your scientific paper. Now, the process here, literally, it talks about the process. What are you going to do for that raw materials, for that situation, or what? You're going to state here the process. And here, the output, you're going to write here what would be the expected outcomes that you would like to be seen in your paper. What could be the expected answers to your certain input a while ago. So you are going to create an IPO model or the input process output conceptual framework of your paper. And then in terms of labeling the figure, nasa baba po yan. Figure, for example, figure 1, input process output or the research paradigm of the study. So that's it on how to create an IPO. Now, going back to the discussion about the conceptual framework, of course, you're going to discuss, di ba, meron na kayo kanina mga visual diagrams on how to present the IPO. Sa baba nun, dapat meron din kayong words. Okay? Naka-wordings din po siya. You're going to explain ano ang nilalaman ng kada box, anong ibig sabihin ng bawat box on that part. And you should relate also ano yung naging theoretical framework niyo. For example, shown in figure 1 is the input process output of the study wherein the input, it includes the problem or the materials to be used for our study, so on and so forth. Talagang naka-wording siya. Now, the elements of a theoretical framework, ano bang nilalaman ng mga theoretical? Una, of course, relevant theories. You cannot put unrelevant or irrelevant theories on that part, of course, dahil hindi naman siya makakatulong on the first part. Rather, you're going to search kung ano yung pinaka-correct, ano yung pinaka-related at relevant on your scientific paper. These are the theories that are partially or fully relevant to the present study and are discussed to provide a basis for the variables being studied. Remember, the variables are those identity of your research. When we say identity, saan part or sa anong word nakilala at meron ang research ninyo. Another one, the theoretical framework also can have review of related literature. These are published materials that compare the study with existing knowledge on the research topic. Of course, we have to support our paper through the means of review of literature. Just like what I have discussed to you last meeting, diba? We discussed the importance of reviewing a literature is to connect, okay, to provide meanings for the context being studied nowadays. Another one is review of related studies. This part includes the thesis or dissertations on research topic carrying the same variables. In discussing also your theoretical framework, you can provide review of related studies as in one citation lang kung paano kayo naging the same on that part. Another one is paradigm of the study. Just like a while ago, this is the input, process, output. This is a diagrammatic presentation of the study used to visually summarize the whole study. Now, this one is an example of IPO. You may take screenshot of this one for you to have references when you do your IPO. IPO, the variables that causes the problem, the phenomenon or transformation. For those na research niyo ay mayroong mga materials to be used, you can put that one on the input. Okay, another one is process. Okay, in this part kasi descriptive part, yung pagiging provision ng input, process, output. But on your case, yung input nyo talaga, it's really the problem, the materials, or the, of course, the first part of your research, ilalagay yun dyan, the objective. Yung process, kung ano talagang intervention or materials ang gagamitin ninyo, process na gagamitin nyo to achieve the output of the study. Okay? Another one is how to develop the theoretical framework. The theoretical framework serves as the basis of the research. It points out through its cited theories which specified variables will be the focus of the study. Another one I have here, of course, you should examine your thesis title and research problem. You have to review again what would be the proposed title that you would like to do on your paper. Number two is brainstorm about what is considered as the key variables of your research. Kasi kayo yung magtatakda at kayo yung makakapag-isip, kayo yung makakapag-finalize ng mga variables na kinakailangan or nabanggit nyo na on your paper as a group. You should also survey, um, you should also collect, review related literature and studies that are really connected with one another. Okay? Again, you have to search for relevant materials. List the constructs and the variables. When we say construct, these are the ideas. Another term for idea is construct. For example, the idea of alternative source of energy. That's your construct. Ano yung magiging variables niyo doon? For example, the sun or the sunlight, okay? Or pwede naman for example yung mga copper wires if you will do that one, something like that. Review key theories, discuss the assumptions or propositions. Of course, we have to set also the assumptions. Ano ba yung i-assume natin? May mangyayari ba or wala? Meron ba or negative on this part? This one is also the same with your hypothesis, null, and then alternative. Now, this is the format in discussing your theoretical framework. Of course, I have to see this part when you discuss your theoretical framework. Number one is the name of the author, title of their theory, theoretical or statement or principles. Hindi nyo kailangang i-cite o ilagay lahat nung pinaka-meaning or dinidiscuss ng theory ninyo. Kumuha lang kayo ng part doon sa tingin ninyong it can support your paper. Explanation of the theoretical statement. Okay, for example, nakuha nyo na yung part na sinabi ni Albert Einstein regarding this one. Now, how relevant is that part? And what is the relationship of that theory to your present study? So these are the components of doing your um, conceptual framework. Now, at this juncture, I want to discuss again, okay? I want to discuss again the part of your scientific paper format. Again, guys, in the background of the study, ang meron po dito is si research gap, the four components of research gap. Of course, in discussing the background, the introduction of your study, you really have to go to the basics, the four components. I have uploaded my screencast regarding that one, so you can follow that one. Review or survey of related literature. This is the same with the review process. Minimum of 3, maximum of 5, RL and RS. In the part of the statement of the problem, guys, one general question lang po. For example, you would like to determine what is the effectiveness of oregano in curing wound. Yun lang, general. Specific, for example, in the trials, what is the effectiveness of using oregano in curing wounds, having, for example, 5 powderized or pulverized oregano leaves. 10 oregano leaves for number 2. Be specific on that part. Conceptual framework, of course, the IPO, you should prepare a visual diagram showing the input, process, and then output. Again, input, it is the materials, the raw materials, the pinaka-construct, pinaka-idea of your paper. Process, what are you going to do? And then for the output, what are the outcomes of your study? For the theoretical framework, kung meron lang po, if applicable, you should provide that one based on the discussion I have a while ago. For the significance of the study, of course, the beneficiaries of your research, you should write here at least 3 group of people or group of agency that will benefit your study. Definition of terms, those unfamiliar words that you have used for your part, for your paper, you have to define that one, whether it is conceptual or operational. Of course, the scope and the limitation should be also written. What would be the scope, lawak, what would be the limitation, ano yung pinaka-weak part of your paper. Huwag mo nang pakialaman tong methodology, so on and so forth. And work plan. Okay, pakipasa rin po ito, pakigawa ng activities in Gantt chart format. You have started what date in conceptualizing, okay, up to this date, for example, up to this week, ano na po ang ginagawa ninyong part for your scientific paper. Now, that's the end of our discussion for the conceptual framework. If you have any questions, you may send me a chat or you may send me a message via email or via Facebook Messenger. See you in our synchronous session. Goodbye.